welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Matt.
And I'm Nina. Today we are doing part 1 of Rip Van Winkle. Rip Van Winkle. I wonder what that means. I know that Rip could be an abbreviation like R.I.P., rest in peace.
Right, so I think sometimes, or I think people used to write that on like a gravestone or a tombstone.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you're like reading a scary story and it has pictures, you might see all of the tombstones say R.I.P.
Yeah, like rest in peace,
Okay,
Van Winkle.
Rest in peace, Van Winkle. So van is like a kind of car that's bigger and has like more seats in the back.
Maybe the van got...
Rest in peace, van. It's been driven for too long. It's time for the van to rest in peace.
What about Winkle?
Winkle.
Yeah.
Well, it has the word wink, and wink is when you close one eye and, give a wink. And maybe you can get, wrinkles from winking too much, the lines on your skin. So you can combine those words, and a wrinkle from winking is a winkle. I've got some winkles around.
I think this makes no sense. How can it be rest in peace to a van and then a winkle? What? That makes no sense.
Well, maybe it's a story about a van that's sort of like the cars in those Cars movies. So it has eyes, and it was winking too much.
It got an eye problem.
They called him Van Winkle, and then he sadly passed away. So it's about saying goodbye to Van Winkle.
Maybe he had too many winkles. That's why he passed.
Well, let's check out the actual article and find out if my theory is correct.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Let's see.
Back when America was a British colony, a man named Rip Van Winkle lived in a village near the Catskill Mountains. He was known for his kindness and desire to help others. However, Rip had one major fault. He wouldn't help out around the house. His wife was always shouting at him for being so lazy.
Hello, everyone. Today we're looking at part 1 of our story, Rip Van Winkle.
Okay, now let's get into the story and learn exactly what the story is about, because I don't think it's about a van that winked too much.
Why not?
Okay, let's find out. Back when America was a British colony, a man named Rip Van Winkle lived in a village near the Catskill Mountains. Okay,
so it's just a man? Well, that's...
Yeah, it's just a name.
That's not as exciting as a van with wrinkles.
Yeah, but it also makes more sense.
I guess so.
All right, so he lived in America, but a British colony at the time, right? So a colony is a group of people or animals living together in a space. So for example, the country has colonies all around the world.
So when we talk about a colony of another country, we mean it's when one country traveled to these other places and set up a place there, a community of people living there, but those people were still a part of the other country or governed by the original country.
Yes, correct.
All right, continuing with the article, he was known for his kindness and desire to help others. So this man, Rip Van Winkle, sounds like a pretty nice guy because he had desire to help others. So a desire is a strong want or need to do something. So you might have many desires, and those are all the things that you need or the things that you want to do. So for example, owning my own home is my biggest desire.
Okay, I'm continuing. However, Rip had one major fault. He wouldn't help out around the house. His wife was always shouting at him for being so lazy. So he had one fault, which means there's something not good about him, right?
So all these other good things, but he has one thing that he's not good at, and that's being lazy around the house. So it's interesting because they said he had such a strong desire to help others.
But not his wife.
But not his wife around the house. So maybe he's one of those people who's like really good when others are watching, but when he gets home, he's just like lazy and does nothing. And he only cares what other people think, maybe.
Maybe. Let's find out what it is because, I wonder why he doesn't want to help out in the house. Or maybe he just doesn't like chores as much as he likes helping carrying things, for example.
Right, so he's known for his kindness, so he must be a nice person. But sometimes doing chores, it just makes you feel lazy. So you just become lazy because you're not naturally lazy, but the idea of doing chores made you lazy.
No, that doesn't make sense. Okay. All right, we will continue learning more about him after this break. Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这次要读的故事是 Rip Van Winkle 李伯大梦，美国作家 Washington Irving 华盛顿·欧文他的著名短篇故事。好，那故事一开始写到，过去当美国还是英国殖民地的时候，有一名男子名叫 Rip Van Winkle 李伯范温克，他住在卡兹基尔山附近的一个村庄。那他以善良和乐于助人而闻名。但是他有一个大缺点，他不肯帮忙做家事。那他的妻子总是因为他这样懒惰而对他大吼大叫。好，我们来看单字 colony。colony 表示殖民地或是聚居地。那它的相关词性有 colonial。colonial 就是形容殖民的、殖民地主义的。那么还有 colonizer 就表示殖民地开拓者或是殖民者。那下一个单字 desire。desire 它可以当名词，表示渴望、愿望或是欲望，它也可以当动词表达渴望、想要。好，那接着回到课文中。
One afternoon, hoping to escape his wife's complaints, Rip grabbed his gun to go hunting in the woods of the Catskill Mountains. As Rip and his dog wandered deeper into the forest, he heard someone call his name. When he turned to see who was shouting, he saw a strange man dressed in old-fashioned Dutch clothing. The man was carrying a heavy keg. Rip could see that the man was struggling, so he offered to help. Together, they carried the keg toward the mouth of a ravine. There was a loud noise like thunder coming from inside it. As they passed through the ravine, they came upon a hollow, which felt like a small amphitheater. Rip saw that there were many more strangely dressed men here. They were playing a game of ninepins. Each time a ball was sent down the bowling lane, it made the loud sound.
All right, let's get back into our story. One afternoon, hoping to escape his wife's complaints, Rip grabbed his gun to go hunting in the woods of the Catskill Mountains.
Okay, so his wife was probably complaining so much because he didn't help out around the house. So a noun, complaint, is saying that you are unhappy about something. So I can say, I have a complaint, Matt.
Okay.
You didn't get me coffee today when you got one for yourself.
Well, I didn't know you wanted coffee.
I thought I told you last time. You don't listen. Anyways, for example, I have no complaints about the food at the restaurant. Everything was delicious. Okay, continuing with the story. As Rip and his dog wandered deeper into the forest, he heard someone call his name. Okay, so he was wandering.
Right, so to wander means to walk without any particular destination that you're going to. So just means sort of walking randomly or walking without any, goal of where you want to end up. So if he's just hunting with his dog, maybe he just wants to wander around, move from place to place and see if he spots any animals he can hunt.
Okay.
Another example, after leaving work, Brianna wandered around the city for hours. And that's one of my favorite things to do when I travel is just to wander around a city and just to see what the city's like and get to know a city without going anywhere in particular.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to explore. And so he was wandering and he heard someone call his name, right? That's kind of creepy. Who could be calling him? Let's find out. When he turned to see who was shouting, he saw a strange man dressed in old-fashioned Dutch clothing. Okay. The man was carrying a heavy keg.
Okay, so the man was wearing old-fashioned clothing. That would mean that, clothing that's not of that time. So people at that time weren't normally wearing clothes like that, so this man had sort of strange clothes because it's very old.
And he was carrying a heavy keg. What's a keg?
So a keg is a container, a large container that is a cylinder. So it's round and it has lids at each end. It's traditionally made of wood, but these days you can have kegs made of metal. So when I think of this keg that this man would be carrying, because it's a long time ago, it's probably a wooden keg that's, a wooden cylinder with metal bands holding it together.
Okay, so Rip could see that the man was struggling, so he offered to help.
I think it's strange that Rip didn't acknowledge that the man called his name.
Yeah, I think it is really weird that a random person called his name and he didn't know who it was. Interesting. Together, they carried the keg toward the mouth of a ravine.
So a ravine is like a steep-sided and narrow gorge. It's something that's like smaller than a canyon.
Okay.
So it's something when you're out wandering around in the forest, you might have to look out for, be aware of, because you don't want to accidentally fall into a ravine.
Okay. There was a loud noise like thunder coming from inside it, from inside the ravine. Okay, that sounds pretty scary, huh? As they passed through the ravine, they came upon a hollow which felt like a small amphitheater. It seems like they're going through quite a dangerous path, or at least one that they should be careful, right? Because you're walking through a ravine, it sounds like, I don't know, and there's like a thunder sound. And then they came across something that felt like a small amphitheater. So an amphitheater is like an outdoor theater. So it's usually like a big space, like a venue for entertainment, and it's open air.
That's right. So it can be used for things like sports or other forms of entertainment. One famous example of an old amphitheater is the Roman Colosseum in Rome, which is one of the most famous sites there.
Yes.
Continuing with the article, Rip saw that there were many more strangely dressed men here. So I guess more men wearing those old-fashioned clothes. They were playing a game of 9 pins. Each time a ball was sent down the bowling lane, it made the loud sound.
Oh.
Okay, so that's what the sound like thunder that he was hearing from the ravine was. It's just them playing 9-pin bowling.
Okay, so it sounds like he made a good choice by not staying home and doing chores, but following the random strange man and...
Right, he found a nice outdoor bowling alley, and now he can play bowling and hang out with these strange men.
All right, let's see what happens next, but not until next time in part 2, right?
And we'll see you then.
Okay, bye.
好，有一天下午，李伯想要逃离他太太的抱怨，他就拿枪到卡兹基尔山的树林里面打猎。当他跟他的狗走进森林的深处时，听到有人在叫他的名字。那他回头看，就看到一名陌生男子穿着过时的荷兰服装，扛着一个沉重的酒桶，看得出来他扛得很吃力。那么李伯就主动提议帮忙。这边用到单字 complaint， 它表示抱怨、不满或是投诉。Wonder Wander 这个动词则表示漫无目的的行走啊、闲逛或是游荡。Matt 老师在解释时，他有提到随意的走着，那老师用到副词 randomly， R-A-N-D-O-M-L-Y， randomly 就表示随意地、任意地。那么补充单字 keg 它表示小酒桶。那么 Matt 老师在提到小酒桶时有用到 cylinder 这个字 ，cylinder 就是指圆柱状或是圆柱体或者是圆筒。好，那么 Nina 老师则提到说，在树林里面有陌生人叫你的名字，听起来毛毛的。他说 creepy， C-R-E-E-P-Y， creepy 就是形容令人毛骨悚然的。那么李伯和那一名陌生男子就一起抬着酒桶往山谷口前进，里面传来像雷声的巨响。当他们穿过山谷时，就发现一片低地，它就像个小型的露天场地。那边有更多穿着奇装异服的男子在玩九柱球。每当一颗球被送入滚球道时，都会发出那种巨大声响，听起来就好像是在玩保龄球。好，那补充单字 ravine 它表示山谷、峡谷。Matt 老师有提到gorge 这个字 G-O-R-G-E， gorge 就表示峡谷。那还有补充单字 amphitheater 它表示是被斜坡包围的露天场地或者是圆形凹地。那 Nina 老师这时候有提到 venue 这个字 V-E-N-U-E， venue 表示会场或是场地。那这边两个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是感官动词。感官动词是指看、听、闻、感觉之类的动词，包括 watch、see、look at、listen to、hear、smell、feel 等等。我们以下介绍3种常见用法。第一种用法是感官动词加受词加原形动词，这时候是表达观察到事实或过程。例如 We didn't notice anyone leave the room， 我们没注意到任何人离开房间。第二个用法是感官动词加受词加现在分词 VING， 这是指动作正在进行。像 He felt something moving in the dark， 他感觉到黑暗中有东西在动。第三种用法是感官动词加受词加过去分词 PP， 那这是指被动或完成。例如 She saw a police car parked in front of her neighbor's house， 她看到一辆警车停在邻居的家门前。好，那第二个重点是 each time。each time 可以引导时间副词子句，表达每次怎么样，每当怎么样。那也可以用 every 来代替 each。例如 Each time I close my eyes, I think of you。 每当我闭上眼，就会想起你。好，那么以上这些讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Back when America was a British colony, a man named Rip Van Winkle lived in a village near the Catskill Mountains. He was known for his kindness and desire to help others. However, Rip had one major fault. He wouldn't help out around the house. His wife was always shouting at him for being so lazy. One afternoon, hoping to escape his wife's complaints, Rip grabbed his gun to go hunting in the woods of the Catskill Mountains. As Rip and his dog wandered deeper into the forest, he heard someone call his name. When he turned to see who was shouting, he saw a strange man dressed in old-fashioned Dutch clothing. The man was carrying a heavy keg. Rip could see that the man was struggling, so he offered to help. Together, they carried the keg toward the mouth of a ravine. There was a loud noise like thunder coming from inside it. As they passed through the ravine, they came upon a hollow, which felt like a small amphitheater. Rip saw that there were many more strangely dressed men here. They were playing a game of 9 pins. Each time a ball was sent down the bowling lane, it made the loud sound.
Can you believe this? Someone actually won the jackpot. The odds were 1,000,000 to 1.
1,000,000 to 1? So you mean it's like almost impossible, but they still won. That's incredible.
Exactly. It's like a miracle. I mean, what are the odds of us winning if we bought the ticket?
Actually, still 1,000,000 to 1. But you never know. You could always try, right?
I guess we might as well try our luck.
Okay, I got it. Let's go buy a lottery ticket after we finish our coffee.
All right. everyone. Today we are talking about the expression a million to one.
That's right. This phrase is used to describe something that is highly unlikely to happen, like winning the lottery.
It emphasizes that while the probability is extremely low, there is still a slim chance.
Exactly. For example, you might say it's 1,000,000 to 1 that we'll have perfect weather for our entire vacation.
Or getting a table at that restaurant without a reservation is 1,000,000 to 1, but it's still worth trying.
So remember, 1,000,000 to 1 doesn't mean it's impossible, just very improbable. Who knows? You might be that 1 in 1,000,000.
That's all for today. Keep dreaming big and taking chances.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.